How can we separate HSP and ADHD? And what are the differences between them? This comes up all the time. I've got a couple videos on YouTube. So put in Alane friend, HSP, ADHD, or Alane friend neurodiversity, and you can hear some of my controversial talking about this. This is so important. It's huge. And I can't tell you the number of highly sensitive people I know or talk to or hear from that are diagnosed ADHD. And then when I talk to them in detail, I find that I really don't think that's their true diagnosis. Now, most people feel and see, mental health professionals, educational professionals, medical professionals, they know about ADHD, attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder. It's in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. It's easily diagnosed, easily treated with medication, diet, lots of things. It's a great diagnosis because there are hard and fast answers to it. The problem is that highly sensitive people, when they are overstimulated, look like ADHD or ADD, attention deficit disorder. Now, recently I made a short video with Julie Kuzmariu about ADD and HSP, so check that one out. And we'll put that, if you're seeing this on YouTube, we'll put that link in the notes below. But we often, you will hear in my house, you will hear me say ADD often. Now, attention deficit disorder is not actually a diagnosis anymore. So we can use ADD as, lay terminology because it's not an actual diagnosis. But what we want to say about ADD is, yes, when I'm overstimulated, overwhelmed, I can't focus on anything. I'm just a scatterbrained. I'm a farm girl, so what comes to mind is, that chicken analogy to when you're really scatterbrained. I won't say it because we're HSPs and we don't want that image in our heads. But I am so ADD so much of the time, but I don't have to be. So when I get just the right recipe for living my life in a healthy way, I exercise enough, I eat enough protein, I eat less sugar, less caffeine, and I sleep and meditate, the things that make you your best self. I'm not ADD. I can focus. I bet you can too if you're HSP. I can really zone in and pay attention and go deep with a topic or researching on the computer or one-on-one with you. I'm going to look into your eyes and hear your story if you're someone I care about that can go deep with me. That's not attention deficit, and that's not ADHD. Now, that's the difference. If you actually have ADHD, you can't easily get so focused, right? Or maybe in certain areas, you've learned to make your brain more linear, and that's really great. But the vast majority of highly sensitive people are not actually ADHD. And you might say, well, what happened to ADD? I don't want to go too much into this because I talked about this with Julie Kuzmariu again on the YouTube video, which is also, I'm pretty sure, in my Instagram feed. It's called now ADHD inattentive type. Like when you're overwhelmed or overstimulated, aren't you inattentive? And remember, that's one of our characteristics because of all the deep processing, all the strong emotional reactions, and all the noticing of subtleties. We are often overwhelmed. And all you can do about overwhelm is prevent it. So if you're preventing overwhelm, I'll bet you $100 you do not have attention deficit. And a few of you might. Now, here's a really good differential diagnosis. What you can do is tell me right now in the comments or the chat, is it called chat? You know what I mean? In the comments, what does caffeine do to you? One of the questions on the Are You Highly Sensitive test, self-test, is, are you sensitive to caffeine or something like that? It's about caffeine impacting you. I mean, if I have caffeine after noon, I'm very sensitive. If I have caffeine after noon, I will be up until potentially midnight or 1 a.m. It's so stimulating to my brain, and I'm very sensitive to it. If I have ADHD, a stimulant will calm me down, give me more focus. Maybe, of course, when you first get that shot of caffeine, you can focus like crazy, right? Someone says here, it pumps my heart up a lot. Yes, that's what it does to me too. If I have too much, I get like, I can actually get jittery, feel like I'm having an anxiety or even eventually a panic attack. That's what stimulants do to highly sensitive people and people without ADHD. So how is ADHD treated? It's treated with medications that are stimulants. So I'll tell you a brief story about a young woman I know, 28 years old, diagnosed as a young child with ADHD and medicated with stimulants throughout her childhood and teens. Guess how she experienced her life? Almost constant overstimulation and anxiety. Another teenager I know, diagnosed with ADHD and treated with stimulants, could not sleep without double the full adult dose of Benadryl each night. Did the doctors and psychiatrists ever think, hey, I wonder if the ADHD medication is stimulating her so much that her brain can never settle down? If that's your experience on stimulants, then there's a really, really great chance that you're not ADHD. So I'm going to give you one more thing for the children, and this also works for you adult HSPs. And then I'll stop. Oh, I'll probably keep going. I could talk forever because I'm an HSP. So if you are overstimulated a good deal of the time, you have been diagnosed with, or you think you have ADHD or inattentive ADD, then, and you are spending a lot of time on screens, do not use the medication before you cut the screens way, 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 way down. Put that app on, put an app on your phone, put an app on your kids' phone. This is especially true for children. People call me all the time. They want treatment. They want medication. I don't prescribe medication, but I work with a psychiatrist who can. And I love psychiatric medical treatment. It's so easy and helpful. And I often recommend antidepressants, especially very low doses for HSPs, because it works with anxiety and depression. If you get the right one, it can be really quite amazing. But if we diagnose a child with ADHD and we have not taken them off the screens to find out what happens when their brain has the ability to settle and calm down, then it's irresponsible to put them on medication without first removing the caffeine, the sugar, and the screens, without first requiring them, getting them into some serious nature and exercise. Does the overstimulation, the ADHD appearing behavior go away when we design a life compatible with being a human in the world? Forget being compatible with being highly sensitive. It's compatible with humanity. There's a lot of research now about nature-based education, forest bathing, do more time in nature, put your feet on the ground, go barefoot on the ground. There's so much great advice, and now there's research backing it. This is what's good for humanity. But you know what it is? Once again, I'm going to say this very extreme statement. It's life and death for highly sensitive people. We have to be exercising and moving in nature and limiting our time on screens. So, heal thyself. Alane, get the heck off of YouTube and Instagram. So I'll give you one more little anecdote. Have you ever experienced, like me, that you turn on the computer because you're just going to look up one thing? You're going to look up that great book someone told you about, or how you could see that TV show, or you just need to reply to one email. And then 30 minutes or 3 hours later, you're still on the screen. You know what I'm talking about, HSPs? Give me a heads up if you do in the comments, because that is overstimulation. So if it's happening to the adults, you can only imagine what is happening to younger minds that are still developing. So I invite you, with my whole heart and soul, heart and mind, with every part of my being, to take better care of yourself and to make your kids take better care of them. And watch out for that ADHD thing. I want you to be a discriminating consumer. Ask lots of questions. Educate your educational professionals, medical professionals, mental health professionals about this trait. There's lots of information out there. Check out my talk at Google, Understanding the Highly Sensitive Person. Of course, we must all read Elaine Aron's books and watch her films at sensitivethemovie.com. find out about all of that. But it's really, really, really great to just find a short little soundbite and share it with the professionals who are a little confused, who you need to educate. Maybe also the family members and the grandparents who are telling you that you're a terrible parent because your child is acting out. So let's educate, educate, educate. And I think, the talk at Google, I did it almost 4 years ago now, and in 2019. And I look back on it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I'd done this, 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 and this. But they have a very strict format. And so it's short. A lot of stuff out there isn't short. And that's why it's a great way to educate professionals and millennials who need short little sound bites. So please let me know what other questions I can answer for you. And I started this whole conversation out today talking about sensitivity circles and coming and getting some support. So I really care about you, and my mission in the world is to reach every highly sensitive person, and most especially the sensitive youth, because I want to change their experience of growing up in a world that most likely does not embrace their sensitivity. We can change this. We can change how they grow up. Let's get rid of these messed up diagnoses. We are more likely to have mental illnesses, especially depression and anxiety, if we grow up in a stressful environment. We don't get our needs met, just basic parenting needs as highly sensitive people. But if we have good enough parenting, we are far less likely to experience mental illnesses as highly sensitive people. Do we need another reason? No, that's all there is. So I'm Alane Friend, your international consultant on high sensitivity. Please like, subscribe, follow, and share. Most importantly, share my content when you see it. If you think of somebody who would benefit from it, or just post it on your social media, please, because we need to get the word out. So HSPs, let's go out there, heal the youth, and change the world. Thank you so much for listening. This is Alane Friend, and I'm out for now. Ciao.